When a person has eyes that can see the treasure light, as well as incredibly profound professional knowledge, houses, cars, tickets, everything is not a problem. Keywords of the novel. Jianbao no pop-up window, download the complete collection of Jianbao TXT, and read the latest chapters of Jianbao. Chapter 1. Divine Eyes Recognize Treasure Light. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Divine Eyes Recognize Treasure Light. In the middle of the night, Chen Youhao lay on the balcony, his eyes tightly closed, his teeth clenched, as if he had suffered a serious illness. His body trembled like a sieve, his expression was very uncomfortable, and he kept making painful sounds in his throat. This situation lasted for a long time before it calmed down. In the future, we must never practice blindly. If we practice again, we may even risk our own lives. Chen Yuyu sat up slowly, with a look of fear on his face. Half a year ago, he saw a cultivation method similar to Qigong in an old Taoist book. Curious, he tried it and became deeply immersed in it. Unexpectedly, today, for some unknown reason, he suddenly went crazy. Fortunately, Qigong is a health-preserving technique, which did not leave any serious sequelae. Even so, the eyes were hot and uncomfortable. I hope it won't affect tomorrow's work, otherwise this month's bonus won't work. Chen Youhao sighed. He is a delivery specialist, and according to regulations, he must deliver at least 20 orders per day to be qualified. At this time, his eyes are hurting severely, and he is very worried about whether he can work normally tomorrow. When I woke up the next day, I breathed a sigh of relief and my eyes stopped hurting. It's okay. Chen Yuyu had a grateful expression on his face. After washing up, he had a simple breakfast and rushed to the workplace. According to the company's arrangement, Chen Youhao was responsible for the delivery orders within 3 kilometers around the Jifang Street Snack City. However, as soon as he arrived at the Snack City, his phone beeped. There is a new order message for your MT takeout, please handle it promptly. So early. Chen Youhao opened the delivery app and found that it was an order from Zimboozai in the antique market. He was a bit surprised, but still accepted the order. Just as he was about to deliver, he was about to enter the gate of the antique market when suddenly a BMW drove towards him at a very fast speed, almost hitting him. Fortunately, he was quick-witted and quickly turned to the side, which saved him from danger. Chen Youhao was startled and broke out in a cold sweat. He immediately cursed and said, "Driving so fast is killing me. Shout nonsense, you." The driver was a middle-aged man in his 30s and 40s, with a flat head and a face full of flesh, looking quite aggressive. He poked his head out of the car window and cursed arrogantly, "Come on, little one, try shouting again." Chen Youhao, seeing his grandson's appearance of 205, was really afraid that he would drive into him and not dare to stare at him again. However, he still shouted fiercely and inwardly, "Are you unreasonable? Are you not afraid of hitting people when driving so fast at intersections? I just like driving so fast, aren't you convinced?" The middle-aged man snorted coldly and drove away. Faced with such unreasonable people, Chen Youhao could only grit his teeth and smash the handle, continuing to deliver takeout. There's nothing we can do about it. Going out to work is always better off with less. Did you really pull this guy down and beat him up just for some friction? Winning the game, losing money, hospitalization. Are you still going to work? Does someone who drives a BMW have money and leisure time to afford, but can they afford to play on their own? Out of this consideration, Chen Youhao could only endure it. However, the resentment in my heart is really hard to ease. Chen Yuyu rode an electric motorcycle and rushed towards Zimboozai in anger. Zimboozai can only be considered a small business in the antique market of Jifang Street, because it only has a small storefront and specializes in porcelain, with both new and old items available. However, whether old items can be found or not depends on personal judgment. To put it simply, there are many fake antiques that are easy to catch a glimpse of. At this moment, Wei Fengxian, the owner of Xinbaozai, was sitting behind the counter, silently watching an elderly man in his 60s observing various porcelain items on the shelves in the store. After Qin Youhao arrived, he stood at the door and said, "Hello, takeout. Could you please bring it over?" Wei Fengxian waved at him. Good Qin Youhao walked in and handed him the lunchbox. He glanced at the time and saw that there was still some time before the normal delivery time. He didn't rush to leave and stood aside to watch. Wei Fengxian didn't care either, casually wiped his hand and started eating takeout. At this moment, the old man in his 60s was trying to identify a colorful small bowl. The bowl was painted with a picture of a golden rooster breaking dawn, with a delicate style and warm glaze, making it look exquisitely crafted. Qin Youhao had no understanding of antiques, but seeing the old man taking them seriously, he also focused his attention. Unexpectedly, his gaze suddenly changed. The colorful small bowl in the old man's hand emitted a bright red-yellow light, like sunlight, forming a faint red-yellow halo around the bowl. "I'll do it." Qin Yuyu was startled, thinking that he was feeling dizzy. He quickly rubbed his eyes and looked back, and his gaze finally returned to normal. He was about to breathe a sigh of relief, but as he focused his attention, this strange situation reappeared, and a red-yellow halo appeared around the colorful small bowl once again. "What's the situation?" Qin Yuyu was frightened and instinctively looked at other porcelain pieces. However, upon seeing this, he suddenly froze and realized that not all porcelain pieces had strange halos appearing. Some have it, some do not, and the color of the halo varies, some are thicker, some are lighter, some halos are tighter, and some are looser. He thought he had gone crazy last night and had problems with his eyes, but at that moment, he suddenly realized that his eyes were not a problem. If there were problems, this strange situation could never have happened. Could it be that? Last night, I went crazy and my eyes changed, so I can see things that normal people can't see. But what is this reddish-yellow halo? Qin Yu thought for a while, but suddenly his face changed and he was moved. There was even a hint of hard-to-conceal excitement rising from deep in his eyes. Is this reddish-yellow halo a precious gem passed down in the antique circle? Although Qin Youhao is not familiar with antiques, he often comes to this market to deliver takeout, so he often hears rumors. Some people say that some treasure connoisseurs who have been immersed in this art for years can even recognize the authenticity of an antique from Baoguang alone without looking at the glazed surface. At that time, Qin Youhao thought it was just empty talk and nonsense. Antiques are just dead objects. How could there be a treasure light? But what he saw at this moment, is it true that what I see is Baoguang? Qin Youhao couldn't be sure, but when he saw the old man next to him observing the colorful small bowl with great care, he must be identifying the authenticity of this antique. He immediately thought to himself and asked, "Mister, what did you see about this colorful small bowl?" From the perspective of shape and glaze, the Qin dynasty porcelain should be from the late Qin dynasty. The old man looked up at him and smiled. "Why, are you also interested in antiques?" Qin Yuyu's heart was moved. "It was made in the Qin dynasty, isn't it really an antique?" "It's okay, I have a general understanding of the situation," he said calmly on his face as he spoke. He took down a small white porcelain bowl from the shelf that had not shown any reddish-yellow halo when he looked over earlier and asked, "Sir, is this white porcelain bowl a modern imitation?" The old man glanced at it and said with a smile, "You still have some eye power. This porcelain is indeed a modern imitation, but the imitation is quite exquisite. If you don't know the difference between the imitation and the ancient, it's still quite easy to catch a glimpse." "How did you see it?" Qin Youhao heard his confident words, and his heart immediately thumped. "That's right. What I see is definitely Baoguang. Haha. I want to develop myself." Qin Youhao was so excited in his heart, he only felt that his spring was coming. You should know that the antique industry can make people rich overnight, and many people become millionaires or even millionaires in an instant because they find a big leak. Chen Youhao thinks that whether he can completely turn the tables on this antique is probably up to him. Although the industry of antiques is deeply rooted, and there are many instances of eye-catching incidents. Some wealthy individuals even lose sight of it and go back to the front line of understanding overnight. This situation is not uncommon, far more than those who become wealthy overnight. However, Chen Youhao does not need to worry about this issue at all. He can see the treasure light. He can identify the authenticity of an antique through Baoguang. With this ability, I don't worry about not being able to develop. Chen Yuyu was so excited that he almost burst out laughing. Thinking of the middle-aged man's disdain and contempt before, a raging fire ignited in his heart. Dog, you can just wait for me. I'll soon be able to slap you in the face. The old man saw his face changing rapidly, with a suspicious expression on his face. Why did he change his face so quickly? He was sick. Pushing Chen's friendly arm with his hand, "Young man, are you okay?" It's okay, Chen Youhao suddenly woke up and awkwardly smiled. I just thought of something and got distracted. Mister, what did you ask me just now? The old man nodded and smiled, seeing that he didn't look like he had something to do. I asked you how you came to see that this white porcelain bowl was an imitation, he said. Oh, this question. Of course, Chen Youhao couldn't claim to be able to identify authenticity through Baoguang. He casually thought of something that people in the antique circle often say to pass by. I just feel that Baoguang is too thief and doesn't have the sense of time like ancient porcelain, so I guess it's a modern imitation. It's okay, it's a bit of something, but there are also many modern imitations that can completely destroy thieves. Judging antiques based solely on this is too one-sided. The old man is a very good teacher and said to Chen Yuyu in an educational tone, if you really want to distinguish the authenticity of an antique, you need to put in more effort from the shape, pattern, glaze color, texture, workmanship, and historical characteristics of the object. Just looking at the gloss is not feasible, and it is easy to make a mistake. As he spoke, he took down 2 monochrome glazed celadon teacups from the shelf and said with a proud expression, take these 2 coffee tables for example. I'll tell you plainly, one of them is Qing dynasty made and the other is a modern imitation. But can you know which one is a modern imitation? His smile was full of jokes, as if he was determined that Chen Yu wouldn't look good. Chen Youhao looked around and found that these 2 teacups were basically the same in shape and color glaze. Without understanding the differences in their craftsmanship, it would be difficult to distinguish which one was true and which one was fake. But he doesn't need to look at these things. His eyes are mutated. As he focused his attention, one of the coffee tables suddenly showed a reddish-yellow halo, while the other remained motionless. Obviously, the one with the halo was the real product. He reached out and pointed to the one without halo. This is a replica. Gah! The old man's smile suddenly froze on his face. How did you tell that? Chen Yuyu said confidently, this has a thief's reputation. Mr. Lau. Damn thief light. I have been playing antiques for so many years, I can't tell. The old man was speechless and his face was stiff. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. First leakage detection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. First leakage detection. Perhaps because he was hit, the old man was a bit unhappy. Anyway, his face no longer had a smiling expression, and he ignored Chen's friendliness. He pretended to be busy and continued to observe the porcelain on the shelf. Chen Youhao was speechless, thinking that the old man had a small heart, but he didn't leave and continued to silently follow on the side. Quickly, the old man took a look at all the porcelain and picked out 3 pieces from the shelf. A blue and white wine pot, a colorful small bowl, and a pink pen wash. Boss, what are the prices for these 3 items? He asked the shop owner Wei Fengxian. Chen Youhao clearly remembered that these 3 porcelain pieces were all carefully examined by the old man, and when he was focused on watching, all 3 porcelain pieces had a reddish-yellow halo appearing, not the loose halo, but the dense reddish-yellow halo. Obviously, these 3 porcelain pieces are definitely old objects, and they are the kind of good old objects. In the next moment, Yuyu's eyes lit up with a brilliant light, even brighter than the sunlight. He excitedly looked at a blue-glazed pen holder on the shelf. Previously, when the old man appraised these porcelain pieces, there were a total of 4 pieces that took the longest time. This pen holder was one of them, and the reddish-yellow halo was even thicker than the other 3 pieces, with a tighter halo. Obviously, this pen holder is probably even better than the 3 ancient porcelain pieces he picked out. However, when the old man was identifying this celadon pen holder, he seemed a bit uncertain and ultimately did not pick it out. This pen holder must be a good thing. Since Mr. Lau doesn't buy it. I'm sorry, if the price is not high, I'll accept it with a smile. Chen Youhao was very excited in his heart. He said that he was lucky enough to catch a leak today, but his face didn't change much. He stood quietly on the side, planning to wait for the old man to leave before taking off the pen holder. These 3 things. Wei Fengxian wiped his mouth and walked out of the counter, glancing at the 3 pieces of porcelain that the old man had picked out. He casually said, 5,000 blue and white wine pots, 4,000 pink pen washes, and 3,000 dotsai small bowls. Chen Youhao was not surprised by this price. In the antique market, there are many thousands of pieces of porcelain, many of which are hundreds or even tens of thousands. Of course, those cheap goods are imitations, and most of the thousands of pieces are ancient porcelain from folk kilns. It is not that folk kiln ancient porcelain is priced at this price, but there is not much difference, with little fluctuation and not much difference. Unless it is the type with particularly fine workmanship, the price is only tens of thousands, it's only around 100,000 to 200,000 yuan, no matter how high it is, it's impossible. When it comes to valuable ancient porcelain, there are also several official kilns throughout history. Ordinary ones are worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. If we catch up with those official kilns with relatively scarce ownership, millions are cheap. The shop owner probably thought these 3 porcelain pieces were ancient folk kilns, so he didn't quote too high a price. The old man didn't even bargain and agreed directly. But after the transaction was completed, I couldn't hide my joy on my face anymore. My mouth was almost in my ear, and I hurriedly left the store carrying 3 pieces of porcelain, afraid that Wei Fengxian would back out. The shop owner was taken aback and then widened his eyes. I stole his ancestor. The 3 pieces of porcelain that this old guy bought are definitely good things. I'm afraid this old guy might have missed them. The shop owner was filled with regret and wished he could chase after him immediately, retrieve 3 pieces of porcelain, and stop doing this business. In the field of antiques, there is a rule of buying and leaving. If he really wants to do this, he will never want to mess around in the field of antiques in his lifetime. He had a regretful expression on his face. Seeing this, Chen Youhao couldn't bear it anymore and said to himself, since you are all in such pain, then I will make you suffer even more. He walked up to the shelf and took down the blue-glazed pen holder. Boss, how much does this pen holder cost? What? Do you want to buy it? Wei Fengxian finally tidied up his mood and looked at the pen holder in his hand with a bitter face. However, this time he took it very seriously. After reading it for a while, he thought to himself. The color is not correct, it should not be from the official kiln, but the workmanship is decent, it should be from a folk kiln ancient porcelain. He was just afraid of being tricked by the old man, afraid of losing too much by selling at a lower price, so he said, nowadays, the stationery items in the market are quite hot and the prices are slightly higher than other items. Seeing that he wanted the lion to open his mouth, Chen Youhao quickly put the pen holder back, and roast, I can't do without buying it. Really, as for you, if someone picks up the leak, you can't go back to the pit from me. The pen holder is not in the right color, so you can also say that it is expensive. You really treat me as a big enemy. Wei Fengxian is speechless. I haven't even mentioned the price yet, so you think it's too expensive. Why not give it to you for free? He couldn't help but say, "It's not too expensive, why don't you just give me a number?" Chen Youhao gave him a slap directly. Wei Fengxian. 5,000. Chen Youhao couldn't help but say, 500. Go play. I want to buy an old item for 500 yuan, why don't you go pick it up on the main road? Wei Fengxian was already in a hurry at the time. He didn't come to buy anything, he clearly came to ruin the situation. Chen Youhao looked sincere and said, "I really want to pick it up. The key is that it must be on the main road as well. Boss, just give me a real price. If it's suitable, I'll take it. If it's not suitable, let's walk on each side of the road. Don't let anyone delay anyone. What's the deal? But if you want to pit me, then forget it. I won't be that big spender." Wei Fengxian saw that he was a delivery man and probably didn't have much money in his hand. He grinned and finally said, 3,000 yuan, it can't be any lower. 2,000. If you agree, I'll take it. If you don't agree, you can keep it up. Chen Yuyu has a posture of leaving. Wei Fengxian hesitated, but still agreed and said, all right, 2,000 is 2,000, I'll sell it to you. The thief is his ancestor, but someone found it out. Why didn't I look carefully? It's so unlucky. Chen Yu is funny and silent. He said to himself that if you knew that I had also picked up your mistake, you might have a strong desire to die. After the transaction between the two was completed, Chen Youhao left Zimbozai directly, but did not return to the snack city to wait for orders. Instead, he headed straight to Zhenboxuan, located in the center of the antique market. Zhenboxuan is the largest antique shop in this market and also the wealthiest one. Chen Youhao thought to himself that this store is not short of money and probably can offer a price. Step straight into it. He really wants to know how much this blue glazed pen holder can be worth. At this moment, there were no customers at Zhenboxuan, only an old man busy wiping the antiques inside the counter. After Chen Yuyu entered, he placed the box containing the blue glazed pen holder directly on the glass cabinet and asked the old man, "Sir, does your store accept antiques?" Received. The old man glanced at him and saw that he was wearing a takeout uniform. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, but he quickly smiled and said, "Take it out and take a look." Chen Youhao said hello and took out the pen holder from the wooden box. The old man picked it up for a while, then suddenly let out a light sigh, looked at it for a while, and suddenly said, "So it's a replica of the June kiln, no wonder there's a difference in color." Chen Yuyu's heart moved, imitating the June kiln. He once heard people in the market say that imitations of June kiln porcelain were generally concentrated in the three periods of Kang, Qian, and Yong. Both the Qin court and the people had made a large number of imitations, but there were not many imitations of Wenfang. That is to say, this pen holder is quite a rare object, whether it's from a civilian kiln or an official kiln, it can be worth some money. He spent 2,000 yuan to buy it, it's definitely worth it. My heart immediately brightened up and I said to myself, if it were from an official kiln, that would be great. At least it could be worth tens of thousands. At this moment, the old man asked him, "How much do you plan to sell?" Chen Youhao didn't know how much he needed, but he had a confident expression on his face and said with a smile, "You keep telling me, there's no way the seller can say the price. But don't deceive me. The official imitation of the June kiln pen holder is still a rare item, and the price can't be low. Just tell me the actual price, and if I feel it's suitable, I'll sell it to you." He was afraid of being tricked, so he directly referred to the pen holder as an official kiln. Unexpectedly, the old man listened to his words and nodded, saying, "Since you can know that this pen holder belongs to the official kiln, it seems that the source of this pen holder should be a normal channel. Since that's the case, I'll give you a real price. On the market, Qin Dynasty official imitation June kiln porcelain is usually worth around 180,000 yuan, but I can't give you so much if I take it back. After all, the store still needs to make money, and 150,000 yuan cannot be more. How about that? If you feel it's not suitable, you can go to another store to see. It's really an official kiln. Chen Yuyu was stunned. He just casually said it, never expecting to be fooled. What shocked him even more was that the old pen holder offered a high price of 150,000 yuan. Although he knew the value of official kiln porcelain, he never expected that such a small pen holder could be sold for such a high price. He thought the highest was only around 100,000 yuan. This world of wealthy people is simply too crazy. Chen Yuyu looked bewildered, followed by excitement. An uncontrollable excitement. He bought this pen holder for 2,000 yuan, but sold it for a high price of 150,000 yuan. A full 75 times profit. This is like pie falling from the sky. No wonder there is a saying in the antique circle that every inch of time and every inch of gold. I finally realized it today. With these mutated eyes, Chen Youhao can't worry about not getting rich. What kind of car or house, I finally don't have to worry about it. Chen Yuyu's family is from the countryside. After graduating from high school, he left his hometown and went out to explore. He was determined to pursue a career and make his family proud of him. However, ideals are full, reality is bony. A few years have passed, and he still doesn't have much money on hand, which has made his vision of buying a house in the city the biggest luxury in his life. He even thought that he might never be able to afford a house in Weiqing in his lifetime. However, fate plays tricks on people. No one could have imagined that the turning point of things would be so bizarre. From receiving a takeout order to leaving Zhenbaoxuan, the entire process took only about 40 minutes. However, in this short 40 minutes, he earned his first huge fortune in life, over 140,000 yuan. If it were in the past, he wouldn't even dare to think about it. But now, wait, sooner or later I will buy a house, a car, marry a wife in the city, and do a great job. The mutated eyes brought great confidence to Chen Yuyu, and at this moment, he once again sent out a vision that had been buried in his heart for several years, to succeed. After the transaction was completed, Chen Yuyu, with a full face of confidence, rode happily towards the bank on an electric motorcycle. However, there is always a certain truth to the saying that happiness leads to sorrow. Just as I passed by an alley, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Buying a car. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Buying a car. Hey, screams of surprise kept ringing from Chen Youhao's mouth. A motorcycle suddenly rushed out of the alley, and Chen Youhao couldn't avoid it. He watched helplessly as his electric motorcycle collided with the opponent's rear wheel. Bang! Chen Youhao finally stopped the electric motorcycle and broke out in a cold sweat. The other party wasn't that good anymore. With a thud, both the person and the car overturned to the ground, and the motorcycle driver rolled on the ground before stopping. Are you okay? Do you want to call 120? Chen Yuyu was almost scared and ran over to help the motorcycle up, but there was no motivation for the driver, fearing that the situation would worsen. The motorcycle driver got up from the ground and took off his helmet, but it was a young man in his 20s and 60s. He moved in place and found nothing serious. He breathed a sigh of relief, but his face turned black when he saw that his motorcycle cover and exhaust pipe were broken. I'll go. The new car I just bought. He was about to scold Chen Yuyu, but Chen Yuyu seemed to speak up earlier than him. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I didn't react just now, I'm really sorry. Don't worry, how much the repair fee should be, I won't lose you a penny. Chen Youhao's attitude of admitting his mistake is very sincere, and there is no other way. Who could have let this traffic accident be his own fault? He still has to bear the responsibility. The young man felt embarrassed to scold him for his attitude, but he was a bit unhappy and said, I just bought this new car and it's just on the road. The license plate hasn't been registered yet. Chen Youhao understood what he meant. If his newly purchased car was hit on the road and he felt isolated, he looked at his electric motorcycle. It was obvious that it had been damaged in the front, and that motorcycle had some problems with its appearance, but there were no other issues. So he said, "Do you think this works? How much did your motorcycle cost for a single move? I'll give you the original price, and you can go buy a new one. I'll give you an extra 1,000 yuan, so how about treating it as your lost work fee?" The young man looked bewildered, and it was too easy to talk. If everyone in this world were like this young man, there would be no conflict. So, he waved his hand grandly and said, "What kind of late work fee is not late work fee? We don't have so much to do. Who hasn't encountered a bad thing these days? Anyway, you didn't mean to do it. Just give me the original price, a total of 42,000 yuan. I'll give you the car purchase contract." The young man took out the car purchase contract from his pocket and handed it to Qin Youhao. Qin Youhao glanced at it briefly and found no problem. He decisively took out 42,000 yuan from his takeout box and handed it to the young man. After the young man finished counting, he said to Qin Youhao, "The car dealership where I bought the motorcycle is right in the west. Do you want me to take you there?" Qin Youhao waved his hand and said, "No need, I often go there and I'm quite familiar with it. Why don't you go buy another one?" The young man quickly shook his head and said, "No, I feel a bit unlucky today. Let's talk about it in a few days. Let's go, goodbye." "Well, goodbye." Qin Yuyu watched him leave with a smile on his face. But when he turned around and saw that he had broken the electric motorcycle in the front wheel position, his head suddenly became bigger. How could he get it back? At this moment, he saw a nearby electric vehicle repairman and sold the electric motorcycle to a repair shop. Anyway, we already have a motorcycle, so having an electric motorcycle in hand is not very useful. It's better to sell it to save time for repairs. Later, Qin Yuyu carried a takeout box and rode a motorcycle to the car dealership where the young man picked up the car. He replaced the cracked cover and the compressed exhaust pipe. Huiding Locomotive Shop is a good motorcycle sales shop. Although it is not big, it is quite famous in Weiqing because it specializes in selling the Kawasaki brand. Therefore, motorcycle enthusiasts who want to buy Kawasaki brand motorcycles in Weiqing usually come here. The attitude of the guide was too average. Qin Youhao parked his car outside the dealership and carried a takeout box into the lobby. Surprisingly, none of the three guides standing at the front desk came forward to greet him. Qin Youhao hesitated for a moment and was about to go up and inquire about how to repair the locomotive. Just as she was thinking about it, a little girl walked out of the restroom and saw that a delivery man at the front desk was ignored. She quickly ran over and said, "Hello sir, may I ask for any help?" Qin Youhao said, "Take me to the accessory area to take a look." The little girl said, "Okay, this way, please." The little girl immediately took Qin Yuyu to the accessory area. The three front desk guides saw that Qin Yu had walked far away and immediately muttered behind the front desk. "You are indeed a newcomer to college, full of energy and motivated to do anything. Ha ha ha, I'll know when she stays for a long time." In the sales industry, eyesight is the most important, otherwise many times it's just a waste of words. You too should say a few words less. How long has Xiaoyu been here? It's normal to not be able to distinguish potential customers, okay? We can teach her when she comes back. The meaning of this discussion is very simple, simply believing that Qin Youhao is just visiting the store and won't buy anything. The reason for this situation is actually quite simple. There is a constant stream of customers in specialty motorcycle stores, and there are often motorcycle enthusiasts who come to see cars, just looking at them but not buying them. A specialty store has hundreds of customers entering and leaving every day, and there are only a few guides. With limited energy, it is natural to unconsciously focus more on those customers who have the ability to make purchases. After all, people are always lazy. Those customers who don't seem to know how to buy a car usually don't take the initiative to talk unless they specifically ask. Chen Yuyu is dressed in MT takeout clothes, and it seems like he's just taking a break to come and look at the car. It's strange that these guides will take the initiative to entertain you. 10 minutes later. The little girl who accompanied Chen Yuyu to the accessory area walked back. The female guide waved at the little girl and said, "Xiaoyu, come here." The little girl immediately walked over and said, "What's wrong, Miss Min?" Xiaomin said, "In the future, when you come across people who come specifically to see cars, you don't need to pay attention. They don't buy cars, so they like to look around. If you go there to talk, maybe they will still dislike you bothering them to see cars." Before finishing her sentence, Xiaoyu's face turned awkward and she said in a voice almost like a mosquito, "Xiaomin, they have already reached a deal with me. I am here to handle the repair and modification procedures for someone." Gah. Xiaomin's smile froze on her face at that moment. The other two girls also froze in an instant. Is it really fake? They couldn't believe it. Xiaoyu awkwardly said, "Really, he bought a set of Kawasaki 250 covers and an exhaust pipe, and also booked a travel box on the Kawasaki H2 motorcycle. The Kawasaki H2 is the most expensive locomotive in Kawasaki, and the travel case used is made of carbon fiber material, which is expensive and costs 20,000 yuan per pair." Schwa. The three guides at the front desk changed their faces at that time, and the atmosphere was extremely awkward. Their expressions, eyes, and movements were all unnatural, not to mention awkward. I intended to pretend to be under the guidance of a senior in front of this college student, but I didn't expect to lose face instead. Xiaoyu saw the three of them with ugly faces and felt uneasy. She quickly made the agreement and ran back to the accessory area. Due to Chen's tight schedule, Xiaoyu quickly arranged a repairman for him and it only took about 10 minutes to replace it. Chen Youhao immediately made an agreement with Xiaoyu to change the motorcycle to a travel version a week later. Although he changed his fate due to a change in his eyes, he never considered leaving because the company's HR manager was kind to him. It was the HR manager who gave him a job opportunity during his most difficult time, and even lent him money to buy an electric motorcycle, which completely improved his life. Nowadays, there is a shortage of personnel in the company, and he can't keep up with it. He feels that he can't afford to let things down and at least work until the end of the contract. Now that his contract is over 4 months away, it is most appropriate to change the motorcycle to a travel version at this time. It is easy to pack takeout and there is no need to carry a takeout box all day long. Xiaoyu nodded and agreed, saying that when the suitcase arrived, she would call him and watch Chen Youhao ride away on a motorcycle. Chen Youhao didn't directly go back to the snack city, but went to the bank first. It's not a big deal to carry the money with you, so it's better to save it. By the time he returned to the snack city on Liberation Street, it was almost 10 o'clock and it was not yet the outbreak of ordering. There were still no other takeout personnel waiting here. Chen Youhao didn't even have a speaker, so he had to wait and do it. Fortunately, there was a prompt for takeout soon again. Chen Youhao opened the food delivery app and saw that it was another order from the antique market. He was amazed, but he quickly accepted the order. It has to be said that using a motorcycle to deliver takeout is definitely a rare thing. On the way to deliver takeout, pedestrians on the road pay their respects to Chen Youhao, especially those men who understand motorcycles, with envy on their faces. This greatly satisfied Chen Youhao's vanity, running and enjoying all the way, and his mood was called a beauty. 20 minutes later, he rode a motorcycle to the antique market and delivered the takeout to the shop owner. This antique shop sells miscellaneous items and is called Duobao Pavilion. The shelves of the shop are adorned with jade, lacquerware, stone, and a few small quantities of metal artifacts, creating a dazzling atmosphere. Chen Youhao was not busy at the moment, so he didn't rush back and simply looked at the store. As he focused his attention, he was quickly stunned. He found that under the gaze of his mutated eyes, different antiques emitted different colored treasures. For example, jade objects have a dark yellow halo, stone objects have a light yellow halo, lacquerware has a dark green halo, wooden tables and chairs have a light green halo, and metal objects have a white halo. Why is the color of this precious light different? Chen Youhao was a bit surprised in his heart, but upon reflection, it was normal for these antiques to have different materials and different colors of baoguang. But when he saw a rectangular box that looked like a makeup box, his eyes almost popped out and his face was filled with astonishment. But under his gaze, the rectangular box emitted two colors of precious light, one was a dark green halo, and the other was a deep yellow halo. However, the dark yellow halo emanates from inside the box. What's going on? How can something emit two types of precious light? Is it using two different materials? He quickly stepped forward and held the box in his hand. The box is not big, about 13 centimeters long, 10 centimeters wide, and 8 centimeters high. It has a layer of deep red vermilion paint on the surface and belongs to lacquerware. It is carved with peony patterns on top, with exquisite workmanship and neat carving. But through the vermilion paint, one can clearly see its original material, which should be plant weaving such as fine bamboo strips. Chen Youhao took off the lid above the box, looked inside, and was immediately convinced of his guess that it was made of bamboo strips. However, he looked back and forth and did not find the second material on this box. Strange. How could a lacquerware made of bamboo strip material have two types of brilliance? Chen Youhao thought he had read it wrong, so he quickly closed the lid and focused on it again. However, the box still emitted two types of precious light, one dark green and the other dark yellow. This left him staring blankly and looking surprised, what's going on? But the next moment, he trembled all over, with an indescribable surprised expression on his face. He thought of a possibility, is it a fish and turtle belly? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Sheep Fat Jade Plaque. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Sheep Fat Jade Plaque. Fish and turtle belly is a jargon in the antique world, referring to the meaning of hiding the universe inside. In ancient times, some families, in order to prevent thieves, would put some valuable dong xc in some ordinary objects. With the passage of time, under various circumstances, it became a state of treasure hidden within the treasure. This situation is not uncommon in the antique industry, and Chen Youhao feels that he is likely to have encountered it. He quickly took off the lid above the box and carefully examined the bottom bamboo strips inside the box. The result was that the bottom bamboo strips were actually added later, slightly lighter in color than the surrounding bamboo strips. If you don't look closely, you really can't tell. Measuring the height inside and outside again, it was obvious that the height was higher than the height inside, and he suddenly had a count in his mind. That's right. There's a layer under this box. Judging from the color of the baoguang, it should be a jade product. Chen Yuyu's expression hesitated for a moment. Although he doesn't understand the professional aspects of antiques, he still knows some common sense in the antique industry. Not all antiques are valuable, especially jade products. If they are not items of famous masters, they are not much different from modern products. For example, the Han 8 Knives white jade cicada, which is a Han Dynasty object with a long history, is also known for its famous carving techniques, but how much is it? It's just 3,000 yuan. Therefore, he both wants to take and doesn't want to take this lacquerware box. After all, the current market for lacquerware is not very good, and few people buy and collect it. If he buys it back, it is very likely to fall into his hands. If the jade inside the interlayer is not valuable, then he will lose money. If he doesn't buy it, he feels like it's something. What if the jade inside is a good thing? After thinking for a while, Chen Youhao finally made a decision. If the price of this lacquerware box was still cheap, he would take a gamble and ask the shop owner how to sell this lacquerware box. This jewelry box. The shop owner looked up and chewed on the food, feeling a bit sticky as he said, just give me 2,000 yuan. 2,000 yuan. Chen Youhao shook his head and said, it's high, low. This price is a bit risky for him. Although he doesn't lack these 2,000 yuan, he doesn't want to lose too much money. 2,000 yuan is still high. The shop owner said in silence, take a look at the quality of this jewelry box. It's already wrapped in paste, at least from the Qing dynasty. Look at the workmanship, the carving is so good, there are no scratches on the blade. To be honest, it's enough to buy it back as a family heirloom. 2,000 yuan is definitely not high, and you can't afford to lose money or fall for it. Hurry up, daily necessities in lacquerware are the least valuable. Although this jewelry box has a good appearance, the carving is just like that, without even picking the paint. It's just a simple carving of peony patterns on the vermilion paint. This kind of lacquerware is not worth any money, and even less valuable than modern lacquerware with intricate craftsmanship. Although Qin Youhao did not have a specific understanding of the value of lacquerware, people in the market have said that the value of antiques depends entirely on their use and whether they have humanistic significance. For example, celebrity objects are more valuable than ordinary people's objects, ornamental antiques are more valuable than stationary items, and stationary items are more valuable than daily necessities. Furthermore, regardless of the type of antique, those with figures are more valuable than those with landscapes are more valuable than those with animals, and those with flowers and plants are the cheapest. This lacquerware jewelry box is not only simple in craftsmanship, but also carved with floral patterns. It is also a daily item and definitely belongs to the bottom layer of antiques. Therefore, its value is definitely not high. Qin Yu thought for a moment and said, why don't you do this? Don't give it 2,000. I'll give you a number, and we'll have the right to treat each other as friends. When you have something I can see on your end in the future, I'll give you an extra 500 yuan. What do you think? The shop owner's face turned black and he said, 500 yuan to buy old lacquerware. You're teasing me. Qin Youhao swore confidently, during the Republic of China era, lacquerware jewelry boxes were only around 300 to 500 yuan in the market. Although this jewelry box looks older than the Republic of China, it is not much older. 500 yuan is definitely not a low price. The shop owner couldn't help but say, I can't even keep 500 yuan, okay. The conversation changed and he said, well, I see you're also sincere about it. I'll give you a little cheaper, 1,005, 1,005 will do. I'll add one more 100. 600 yuan. You said you're such a person, why are you so arrogant? Let me add another number, 13, it can't be any lower. I'll take 800 yuan, if not, you can keep it for yourself. The two engaged in a heated argument and ultimately made a deal for 1,000 yuan. After the transaction was completed, Qin Youhao immediately left Duobao Pavilion with the lacquerware box. He bought a flat screwdriver from a hardware store and carefully pried off the interlayer inside the lacquerware box. However, he found that there was actually a jade plaque hidden inside, which was all white and looked like sheep fat, delicate, shiny, and warm. Qin Yuyu's eyes straightened at the time and said, I'll do it. It's actually sheep fat jade. He was overjoyed in his heart. Not to mention the value of this jade plaque, just talking about such a large piece of sheep fat jade is worth several thousand yuan. I definitely made a profit this time. Qin Yuyu smiled and picked up the jade plaque from the box, carefully examining it. This jade plaque is rectangular in shape, about 8 centimeters long and 5 centimeters wide. There are no decorative patterns around the edges, only a straight carving line that distinguishes the plaque from the plaque. On the sign, there is a cloud pattern carved and a circular hole in the center, which is used to thread ropes. On the face of the card, there are 2 carved plum vases, each with a green bamboo inserted. The green bamboo has 3 sections, with 15 leaves above each and 18 leaves above the other. The carving is exquisite and delicate, revealing its delicacy. On the back of the jade plaque, there are cloud patterns on the top and bottom, and in the center is a box with 2 rows of books engraved inside. Qin Yu looked at it for a while but didn't recognize a word, only the signature he could read clearly. He see. Who is he see? Chen Youhao quickly took out his phone to search, but after searching for a while, he couldn't find any valuable information. He couldn't help but wonder, what exactly is the name of the signature? With doubts in mind, Chen Youhao rode a motorcycle to Zhenbaxuan. The old man who bought Chen Youhao's blue glazed pen holder still sat still, but at this moment, a few customers in the store were observing various antiques and occasionally whispering. Hey! Why did you come over again? Seeing Chen Youhao come back to the store again, the old man looked surprised and saw that he was still holding a lacquerware box in his hand. Are you trying to sell this lacquerware jewelry box to my store? He said speechlessly. Do you do any business at Zhenbaxuan? Chen Youhao chuckled and didn't explain. He took out the sheep fat jade plaque from his pocket and handed it to the old man. Look, what's going on? Oh. The condition is good. The old man's eyes lit up and he said, did you get it from the market? Chen Yu nodded and said, I encountered it when I was just delivering takeout. I saw it was good and took it. The old man looked around and gave a thumbs up, praising, you have a good eye. This sheep fat jade plaque is definitely a good thing and worth buying. He pointed to the signature on the back and said, did you see this signature? He was a famous jade carving craftsman in Suzhou during the Ming dynasty. It's just that Lu Zigong's fame was too great to make him famous. However, his carving skills are also outstanding, and his works are not commonly seen in the market. You definitely bought this jade plaque. Chen Youhao never imagined that the jade plaque he had pulled out would be so big. His heart suddenly jumped with a thud. Oh my God, I have picked up a big leak again. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. A wave is stronger than a wave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. A wave is stronger than a wave. The old man said to him, the collection value of your jade plaque is quite high, not inferior to the imitation June kiln you sold me before. Why don't you keep it for yourself? Chen Youhao said, I'm not very interested in jade. So. The old man grinned and said with a regretful expression, unfortunately, my new Baoxian mainly deals with porcelain and calligraphy and painting, and other antiques are not involved. Otherwise, I will stay. You can go to Qinyuga to have a look. His family specializes in jade, and he definitely wants such a good jade plaque. Chen Youhao asked, Sir, what is the approximate value of this jade plaque? The old man pondered for a moment and said, although this jade plaque is not something of a celebrity, it is actually the work of Master Hisai. Similar products are not commonly seen in the market, so it is definitely not cheaper than the imitation June kiln you sold me. If you encounter a collector who likes to collect jade, the price will only be higher, and it is possible to sell it for 200,000 yuan. Chen Youhao understood that the value of this jade plaque was between 150,000 and 200,000 yuan. He sincerely thanked him. Thank you, sir. If it weren't for your help in dispelling my doubts, I wouldn't have known the origin of this jade plaque. The old man stroked his beard and smiled, you don't need to thank me. It's just a small matter. As long as you have suitable porcelain in the future, don't forget to sell it to me, Xian Baoxian. So the old man is waiting for me here. I asked why he is so kind to help me clarify. Chen Yu suddenly understood with kindness and smiled, definitely. The two exchanged phone numbers, and Chen Youhao quickly went to Qinyuga, holding a jade plaque. As expected by the old man, Chen Yuga really liked the sheepskin jade plaque brought by Chen Youhao and offered a high price of 180,000 yuan, which almost made Chen Youhao's eyes jump out of surprise. Is there anything higher in the industry than a jade plaque that was bought back for 1,000 yuan but sold for a high price of 180,000 yuan, with a profit of 180 times that? Absolutely not. Chen Youhao was so excited that he made up his mind to make a name for himself in the field of antiques. Near noon. Around 11:30. At this moment, we are about to enter the delivery ordering period, and at the entrance of Jifang Street Snack City, there are already no less than 15 delivery drivers gathered. There are full-time delivery specialists and part-time delivery crowdsourcing. These people have an electric motorcycle in their hands, ranging from small, medium, and large. At this moment, several delivery drivers who have not yet received orders are sitting cross-legged on the electric motorcycle, chatting word by word. Suddenly, a roar came and everyone looked around, but suddenly they were taken aback. They saw Chen Youhao riding a black and green motorcycle, carrying a takeout box, and rushing over with a majestic presence. "I'll go, that's Kawasaki 250, right? Is that Chen Yuyu sitting on top? No, it must be a gimmick. Do you know how much Kawasaki 250 costs? At least 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, who would be willing to buy our salary?" But when the motorcycle approached, everyone could see clearly that the person on it was really Chen Youhao. Newly bought. No way, isn't that electric motorcycle he just bought for 6 months? It's not even possible to change cars. What are you joking about? We've all gone to buy the Kawasaki 250, who cares about the previous electric motorcycle? Everyone was stunned, looking at Chen Yuyu riding his bike. Some people thought they must have been blinded. And some people, on the other hand, feel that Chen Youhao is crazy. How much money do you earn and how much do you spend? Although Kawasaki 250 is extremely expensive, it costs 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, and there are also many people present who can take it out. But spend 40,000 to 50,000 yuan to buy a motorcycle. Are you crazy? Can't make it through anymore. Why are you all gathered here? Don't you deliver the bill? Chen Youhao parked the car and looked at everyone with a curious expression. Immediately, young people gathered around. Someone asked, "Friendly, did you just buy this motorcycle?" Chen Yu smiled and said, "Yes, I just bought it this morning. Didn't I just come back after applying for the license plate?" Some people who have checked their phones and confirmed the model exclaimed, "Friendly, are you really Kawasaki 250? Let me go. I said it looks so familiar to me, over 40,000 yuan. Friendly, are you making a fortune, right?" Upon hearing someone confirm, although the people present were mentally prepared, there was still a burst of discussion. "You're such a young person. You have no intention of saving money at all." Some elderly delivery colleagues who have already started a family couldn't help but advise, "Friendly, you did this. You still need to save more money while you're young, otherwise you won't have the capital to marry a wife in the future." "Yeah, Friendly. You bought this car with a loan, right?" The uncle on the side said, "I'm a lot older than you. Today, I'll rely on my seniority to talk to you. It's good for young people to like new things, but buying things should be done within their means. This is not a house that can take root. With this loan, you will face a lot of life pressure in the future. You can't even make any extra money from your monthly salary. Yes, if the car can be returned, then it can be returned." Many older people advise people in the same tone. But some young people immediately retorted, "Brotherly, what are you saying? Young people just need to have motivation. Have dreams. When they were young, they didn't even dare to buy things they liked. When they have a family in the future, those who hesitate may regret it." "I think so too. Chen, where did you buy this car?" "I saved up money another day and I need to get one too." "Ha ha ha, I won't save any money anymore." "Chen, if there's a chance in the future, can you lend me Kawasaki for a couple of days?" "Don't worry, I'll definitely fill you up." This is because young people who are carefree and middle-aged people with families and jobs have different directions when considering things. However, those who tried to persuade were also considering Chen's friendship. Chen Yuyu naturally wouldn't mind. After a moment of thought, Chen Youhao said, "Actually, you misunderstood. This car is indeed just bought and not fake. But it's actually a used car." "Used car," the crowd exclaimed in surprise. "Yes, it's a used car, Chen Yohao nodded and said, this morning, I accidentally collided with someone while riding my bike. It was the owner of the Kawasaki 250 who damaged their car. The owner had already wanted to exchange the car, so he was too lazy to ask me for compensation. He just sold the car to me at a second-hand price, and the price was not expensive. Hiss, is there such a good thing? A young man beside him asked with wide-open eyes. Yeah, I was also extremely worried at the time. You know, repairing this kind of car is like a 10,000-word deal. Chen Yohao shrugged and said, but I didn't expect the owner to be so talkative. Let me pick up a motorcycle. As soon as these words were spoken, those who had previously tried to persuade immediately looked envious. How much did you spend on this Kawasaki? After all, it's second-hand goods, not expensive. It's only 6,000. It's only 6,000, why didn't he give it to Nian in vain? The car owner said that the number 6 sounds pleasant, Chen Yohao shrugged. Chen Yohao deliberately changed the original price to 8,000 in order to make others think that he bought this motorcycle because of luck rather than really spending a lot of money. You should know that many people have a herd mentality, while most young people are impulsive. He had already guessed by looking at the hot expressions of many colleagues around him, and to be honest, it's possible that in a few days, a few young people will be unable to resist taking out loans or using their years of savings to buy a motorcycle. As the saying goes, how much money do you earn and how much food do you eat? Everyone is a delivery worker selling coolies, how much is their monthly salary? If you really want to buy a motorcycle for 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, who can't afford it? Even with a loan, one can buy it. Even if you really can't afford 40 or 50,000, 10 or 20,000 is not a problem, right? But excessive consumption, overdrawing future consumption capacity. Especially when it comes to buying a motorcycle, which is not considered important, the consequences are actually very serious. Chen Yuyu possesses extraordinary skills, which naturally cannot be compared. But for an ordinary delivery person, buying such a motorcycle would be like eating dirt for several years, so there's basically no need to think about saving money. Chen Yohao doesn't want to bring about this kind of atmosphere. So it's like this. You're really lucky, you guy, someone envied. I really want to be bumped into by what I said, envy, jealousy, hate. Ha ha ha, this is really lucky. Others can't learn it, Chen Yu chuckled. If that car owner doesn't speak well and grabs me for money, then I'll be in a miserable situation. That's also true. Same people have different destinies. 6,000 yuan, Kawasaki 250. Many people saw toothache and said, what do you think about the car owner? If I had such a car, it would definitely be precious. If he said sell it, then sell it. Who made it clear? They are rich and capricious. The slightly older delivery man, who had been persuading Chen Yohao to return the car earlier, couldn't help but say, hey, actually I've always wanted to buy a Kawasaki, but I don't have that spare money. Friendly, there's a chance another day. Can I ride your car for a day? I promise to fill you up with gas. It looks handsome. Riding Kawasaki delivering takeout feels absolutely cool. Chen Yohao was about to say that his phone in his pocket suddenly rang the order message pushed by the platform. Your MT takeout has a new order, please handle it promptly. Chen Yohao quickly opened his phone and found out that the order from a nearby office building was for dishes from Lao Lu's private room. He quickly said, brothers, I have an order now. I'll be busy for now, and we'll talk later. Hurry up and ride the motorcycle towards Lao Lu's private restaurant. Numerous gigs looked envious as he left, not only admiring the roaring motorcycles, but also the takeout orders. There's no way, the gig worker and the delivery specialist are still different. Although the order information for both is pushed by the platform, the information is usually first pushed to the delivery specialist. If the delivery specialist cannot deliver it, it will be pushed to the gig worker to complete the order. This is also why many gigs want to become delivery specialists, after all, no one in this world will be against money. Since his eyes changed, Chen Youhao has realized that he may never worry about not having money again in his life, and there will be plenty of opportunities for him to make money in the future. He has this confidence. That's also why he didn't hesitate to buy this motorcycle. He rode a motorcycle, shuttling through the rolling traffic, as if facing the wind and breaking the waves, with a face full of determination. Let's make this leak detection more intense. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Tit for Tat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Tit for Tat. At 2 p.m., after the outbreak of food delivery, Chen Youhao rode a motorcycle and once again arrived at the antique market. From 2.00 to 5.00 is his rest time, and he wants to take advantage of this opportunity to see if there are any leaks to pick up. Anyway, he's also idle, so why not take a walk? As a historic ancient city, Weiqing has a profound cultural heritage. There are 3 antique markets alone, and the antique market in Jifang Street is the most diverse because, in addition to commercial activities, there are also a large number of retail investors who do not have the money to rent shops and set up stalls in the market. Compared to merchants, retail investors tend to have a higher proportion of counterfeit goods, and there are also genuine ones. Most of them are collected from the countryside, but very few. However, when it comes to picking up big loopholes, they really have to take luck from retail vendors. After all, these vendors have only a partial understanding of antiques, unlike the antique appraisers of merchants who, even if they have taken a wrong look, will never consider real antiques as fake antiques. Therefore, picking up treasures from merchants is far better than picking them from retail vendors. Therefore, browsing retail vendors is the favorite thing for all antique enthusiasts. The retail stalls of the Liberation Street Antique Market are located on the north side of the market, with 4 rows of long cement platforms built on a wide and flat ground. These retail stalls are placed on the cement platforms. Chen Youhao stored the motorcycle in the storage area of the antique market, and then began to circulate in the retail market. Quickly, he stopped at a booth. This booth has a considerable area of about 10 meters, with a large number of antiques displayed on it. Most of them are small items, with a wide variety of categories, including porcelain, jade, stone, metal, calligraphy, and painting. The sales are very diverse, and each antique looks very old and full of a sense of time. At this moment, in front of his stall, there were several young men who looked a bit like students, with a strong academic atmosphere. They occasionally picked up an item from the stall, asked or discussed, but no one had any intention of buying it. The owner of the stall looked helpless, sitting on a chair watching a mobile video, occasionally looking up at these people with a resentful glance. Those young guys, however, seemed to have never seen each other before and didn't pay any attention to him. These people are clearly led by a young man wearing golden glasses, who is about the same age as Chen Youhao. He is in his 20s, wearing Nike sportswear and a limited edition AJ on his feet. His hair is permed with a hot texture, and he looks quite handsome, but his lips are too thin, giving people a harsh feeling. At this moment, the man with glasses was talking loudly, constantly explaining antique knowledge to several other young people, such as the development history of ancient porcelain, the evolution of jade carving and knife techniques in different dynasties, and the inheritance of calligraphy and painting techniques, all acting like experts. The other young people all looked at him with admiring eyes. Although the man with eyes had a straight face and a calm expression, Chen Youhao could tell from his excited eyes that he was proud in his heart. He's also a sulky person. Chen Youhao felt a bit amused in his heart, but ignored these people. He walked to the right side of the booth and started flipping through it. The vendor saw a new customer, even though they were just a delivery man, he still warmly said, "Little brother, buy antiques." "Oh, hello, I'm telling you, you've come to the right place. Li Si has been doing business in this market for more than 10 years and has never changed places. His reputation is absolutely guaranteed. He never deceives anyone. When you see the antiques on our stall, they are all top-quality items. You can buy any of them back and use them as heirlooms. I don't know if he was being held back or something happened. He talked for half a minute without stopping. It was like a fluent and endless stream of words. Chen Youhao felt a headache when he heard it, so he hurriedly said, "I'll take a look first, and then I'll talk to you." Okay, take a look first, hee. The vendor's smile is not to be underestimated. Chen Youhao felt that this person was smiling very sincerely. He thought to himself that the boss was pretty good and there should be some good things at the stall, but in reality, he slapped him hard. As he focused and activated his mutated eyes, the genuine antiques on the stall suddenly emitted a radiance, but the quantity was only a few, and the vast majority remained unresponsive. Chen Youhao was stunned. Although he used to know that there were many counterfeit goods and few genuine ones in the retail market, he didn't expect there to be so few genuine ones. He felt speechless in his heart. Isn't this deceitful? It's a guarantee of credibility. What a shame. The bad old man is very bad. I believe in your ghost. Chen Yuyu shook his head in silence as he was about to take a closer look at the shining objects. Suddenly, he was taken aback when he saw the man with glasses looking at him in surprise. Chen Youhao looked at his clothes. They weren't dirty. Why do you look at me like that? The man with glasses said, do you also play with antiques? Chen Youhao nodded and said, yes, is there a problem? The man with glasses looked even more surprised and said, are you still playing with this thing when you're delivering takeout? Chen Youhao's face turned black and he said, what's wrong with delivery drivers? Who says that delivery drivers cannot play antiques? It's really strange that both humans and non-humans want to play antiques. Is it really so easy to play antiques? The man with glasses shook his head and smiled, looking down on the delivery man playing antiques. Chen Youhao was so angry at these words that he said, what do you mean? Who do you look down on? I didn't look down on anyone, I was just stating a fact. Although the words may sound a bit unpleasant, they didn't dampen your meaning. Playing antiques requires a very deep level of professional knowledge. Can you understand these things as soon as you deliver food? There are always some people in this world who feel superior. The man with glasses is clearly someone like this, and he doesn't know where he comes from. Looking at Chen's friendly eyes is full of a sense of superiority. With a look of, I'm all for your own good, on his face, he said, dude, you should be about the same age as me. Just listen to my advice and honestly send you takeout. It's not easy for you to make money in this industry. Don't work hard to earn 3 or 5 taels of jujubes, and you'll end up getting them all for free. Listen to me, don't just make ends meet. Antiques are really something that people like you can't touch. Chen Yu chuckled angrily and said, what's wrong with us people? You feel so inferior when I hear you say it. How awesome are you? Do you look down on us like that? Billionaires? Or cultural scholars? I don't think you look very good either. You don't have 2 heads. What are you pretending to be with me? Believe it or not, I can always choose something better than what you've worked hard to find. You're bragging. The man with glasses also smiled, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He disdainfully said, I've been playing with antiques for several years, and even if I find something, it's even stronger than mine. It's not that bad. If you really can do it, I can call you dad. Being looked down upon so much, Chen Youhao suddenly became arrogant and glared at him, do you keep your word? What, listen to your tone. Do you still want to compare yourself to me? The man with glasses sneered. Previously, Chen Youhao's observation of antiques was entirely an outsider's style. In his view, Chen Youhao's competition with him was just a show of exaggeration, pretending to say big things. Therefore, his gaze at Chen Youhao was as if he was looking at an ignorant garbage, full of contempt. This kind of gaze deeply hurt Chen Youhao's heart, and he cursed in his heart, how could you encounter such disgusting people everywhere? Judging people by their appearance and judging them by their dog's eyes is just that fun. Chen Yuyuguang has encountered this situation 3 times in a morning, and now he has encountered it again, leaving him speechless. He chuckled coldly and said, "If you want to play, let's play. Let's talk about how to play. Just draw a line and I'll accompany you to the end." He thought to himself, "I have mutated eyes, but I can't play with you. I must hit you in the face today. Hee, since you're rushing to beg for a slap in the face, then I'll fulfill you." The man with eyes looked confident and said, "But I still have to take my classmates to other places to open their eyes later. I don't have time to waste time with you here. Let's just keep it simple. Within half an hour, each person will find an item from the market and see whose item sells at a higher price. The one with the higher price wins. How about that?" Seeing Chen Youhao's skeptical expression on his face, he said again, "You come find the place where the goods are sold. Is that okay?" Chen Youhao's heart was calm, he said hello, and decisively walked towards the west. On this stall, there were a few objects emitting precious light, and the halo was not strong. Obviously, they were not very good objects, and the winning face was small. Therefore, he was too lazy to check and went directly to other places to find ancient porcelain. Nowadays, ancient porcelain is the hottest in the antique market. If we can find a good ancient porcelain, we can definitely sell it at a high price and have a bigger chance of winning. The vendor saw that he was about to leave and quickly called out to him, "Hey, don't leave. Look at the things on my stall, I'll give you a discounted price." Chen Yu didn't look back and said, "The things on your stall are too inferior." Stall owner. I haven't even looked carefully yet, how do you know the things on my stall? This person is too unreliable then, he turned his gaze to the man with glasses. As a result, the glasses man didn't even look at him and said to his younger classmates, "You can continue to explore from here. There are quite a variety of imitations on this stall, which will be of great help to you understand the methods of antique counterfeiting. I will go to other stalls to take a look." A junior student said, "Senior, are you confident? I think that kid has a lot of confidence in stopping. He should be someone with skills." The man with glasses sneered, "You're still too young. He's just bluffing under anger. I've seen his way of observing objects before, and he's definitely an outsider. I've won this gambling game, don't worry. I'll take you to other places to open your eyes later. I'll take care of him first." Leaving the vendor straight away, he ignored them from beginning to end. Stall owner. What kind of wrongdoing have I done? The people I've met are all like this, and they're not very good, right? The man with glasses clearly had the same plan as Chen Youhao, wanting to find an ancient porcelain to determine the winner. Whenever he passed by a porcelain stall, he would stop and take a look. However, both of them had a difficult treasure hunting journey. Chen Youhao almost searched the entire retail market and did not see any good antique porcelain. While there were genuine ones, the Baoguang was not as strong as the blue porcelain pen holder he sold this morning, which emitted a lot of Baoguang. Obviously, the quality difference was a bit large, and there was no need to think about it. It was definitely not worth selling for much money. Chen Yuyu gritted his teeth and turned back to look for calligraphy and painting. Antique calligraphy and painting are second only to ancient porcelain in the market, and their value is not low. Some high-quality celebrity calligraphy and painting can even be sold for sky-high prices. However, this time he returned in vain. In the vast retail market, there was not a single authentic painting, all modern imitations, not even a Baoguang. "I'll go, won't I?" Chen Yuyu was speechless. He didn't expect it to be so difficult to find a good object, and he felt a bit anxious. Is it possible that I will be slapped in the face this time? As he was lost in thought, his gaze swept over a miscellaneous stall. Unexpectedly, a pale yellow treasure light flashed into his sight, forming a halo like a small sun, very strong. Chen Yuyu trembled and quickly walked towards the stall. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Zhang Shiyu's Seal. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 7 Zhang Shiyu's seal. Half an hour later. The eyed man returned to his original place holding a blue and white plum vase. His younger brothers were still discussing antique knowledge in front of the booth, and when they saw him back, they quickly welcomed him. "Senior, is this the antique you bought?" A few people took the plum vase and carefully examined it. Judging from the design, it should be made of domestically produced green materials. The workmanship is not particularly exquisite, but it is still decent. It should be a work of folk kills. The texture of this embryo is a bit rough, from the Yuan dynasty. But what's wrong with the shape of this plum vase? The plum vase from the Yuan dynasty seems to be thicker and not so thin. "Senior, did you take a wrong look?" The man with eyes gave a faint smile and said, "How could it be? If you were to say that there are other categories of antiques, I still have the possibility of making eye contact, but porcelain is definitely not possible. My main research direction is ancient porcelain, and I still have some eye power." He saw that Chen Youhao had not returned yet, so he took the opportunity to give a lesson to a few younger students and talked about professional knowledge. "Actually, many of what you just said are correct. This plum vase is indeed a folk kiln work. However, it is not from the Yuan dynasty, but from the early Ming dynasty. The firing process of Ming dynasty porcelain basically inherited the Yuan dynasty process, but there were changes in Ming dynasty aesthetics. Yuan dynasty porcelain was clumsy, while Ming dynasty porcelain emphasized exquisite craftsmanship. However, the changes in craftsmanship could not be achieved overnight and required accumulation of experience, which required a lot of time to improve. This plum vase comes from this transitional period of craftsmanship, so it looks a bit different, but in fact, it is a genuine product. So what happened? I thought you had taken a wrong look, senior. The senior is truly the top seed of the archaeology department in our college. His knowledge is so profound that we, as a group of people, may never have the chance to catch up with the senior in our lifetime." The glasses man listened to the childish flattery of his younger classmates and shook his head for a while. He still needed to sharpen his skills. He couldn't even flatter quickly. What's the point? At this moment, a junior asked, "Senior, how much can this plum vase sell?" "About 7,000 or 8,000, after all, it's not small in size, making it much more difficult to cook than plates and bowls, and it's also an ornamental bottle. If the delivery person doesn't impress me, I can find a porcelain store to sell it, and even sell it for 10,000. Only 10,000 yuan. Can you beat that delivery man?" The younger students suddenly became worried. The man with glasses, however, looked confident and said, "Don't worry, I've walked around this market and found that the vast majority of ancient porcelain are imitations, and a few genuine ones are mostly from folk kilns. This plum vase is already the best and largest porcelain in this retail market, and I'm sure it can beat that delivery man." A junior said, "Can't he find something more valuable in other categories?" "It's impossible. Nowadays, the most popular items in the antique market are porcelain, calligraphy in painting, various precious large carved wooden objects, and jade ornaments." The man with eyes full of confidence said, "In this retail market, most of the items sold are small pieces, calligraphy and painting. Without decades of research, it's impossible to see through the truth. Precious wooden furniture doesn't have it. Jade ornaments are all small things that are not worth money. Other miscellaneous items can't be sold at a high price. If he wants to win over me, he must buy porcelain, but I have bought the most expensive porcelain in this market. Where can he win over me?" He sneered and said, "So, in this bet, he will definitely lose." Several of his younger classmates took a deep breath, their faces full of disbelief. One of them stuttered and said, "Senior, when you were gambling with him just now, you thought so much in the blink of an eye." The man with glasses proudly said, "Otherwise. I'm not a fool. How could I do something I'm not sure about? It's because I've considered it all that I dare to make this bet with him. You guys are still too young, learn more in the future." Several younger students nodded repeatedly, their eyes admiring him even more. The man with glasses felt a wave of pride in his heart. At this moment, Chen Youhao slowly walked over from a distance. "I thought you wouldn't dare to gamble, so you secretly ran away," said the glasses man. "Yin-yang monster," Chen Youhao sneered, "someone is rushing to be my son. It's too late to like it. How could they run away?" The man with glasses sneered, "You've thought too much. This time we'll bet on you, you son. I'm afraid you'll cry then." Chen Youhao snorted coldly and glanced at the plum vase in his younger brother's hand. He found that the treasure light was not strong and the halo was a bit scattered. He suddenly felt a sense of relief and smiled, saying, "I don't bully you either. Since you bought porcelain, I'll take you to a store that specializes in selling porcelain, so that you won't have to admit it when you lose. A dead duck has a hard mouth. I don't believe what you buy is better than mine, just wait and call me Dad. The man with eyes full of confidence followed Chen Yuyu and walked towards Xian Baoxian. At this moment, there are no guests in Zhenbaoxuan. The old man sitting behind the counter is listening to cross-talk on his phone. As soon as he entered the door, Chen Youhao shouted, "Mr. Tang, I'm here to introduce the business." When the two of them exchanged contact information in the morning, Chen Youhao took the opportunity to learn about the old man's name taboo. His surname is Tang and his name is Zhongtang. He has been working as a treasure appraiser in the antique circle for many years. Tang looked up and chuckled, "You've been here quite frequently, kid. You've already made your third trip today. What's wrong, not welcome? How could that be? Come on, what kind of business?" Chen Youhao pointed to the man with glasses behind him and said, "He made a plum vase. Are you palming your hands?" Tang Lao Dao said, "All right, bring it over." The eyed man immediately asked his younger brother to hand over the plum vase. "It's not bad, the blue and white plum vase from the early Ming dynasty, although it's from a folk kiln, has a small quantity in stock and can be considered a good ornamental vase," Tang said with a smile. Just glancing at it, he looked at the man with glasses and said, "How do you plan to sell it?" The man with glasses was afraid that he would pit himself, so the lion spoke loudly, 15,000. Tang shook his head with a smile and said, "I dare not accept this price. I will lose money. I can only offer a maximum of 10,000 yuan on my end. If you agree, we can trade. If you don't agree, you can go to another store and transfer." This price is basically consistent with the estimated price of the glasses man, and he nodded and said, "Sure." Chen Youhao interjected, "You've already thought about it. Don't say that I'm not accepting it later." The man with glasses snorted coldly, "I understand the value of this plum vase better than you do. The price given by the old gentleman is very suitable, that's it. What about your things?" Tang Lao was taken aback and said, "You guys are." Chen Yu chuckled and said, "I'll talk to you later." As he spoke, he took out a stone seal from his pocket and slowly placed it on the counter. "Mr. Tang, take a look at this seal and see what it looks like." The intense treasure light he accidentally saw before came from this seal. This seal is thick and thin on the thumb, long and short on the middle finger. It appears black on the surface and its original color is not clear. The overall shape is long and the top is carved with a pishi. The lines are simple and the trend is vigorous and powerful. At the bottom of the seal, there is an engraved seal script, but the mud and dirt are too thick to see clearly. However, the precious light emitted by the seal is light yellow, symmetrical, and even stronger than the precious light of the Celadon pen holder sold by Chen Youhao this morning. Obviously, this seal is a good object with a long history. This is also the fundamental reason why Chen Youhao dared to buy this seal even though he did not know its true value. The man with glasses and his several classmates looked over at the first moment, but they couldn't see clearly at all. Tang Lao's head grew big for a moment and he said in silence, "Where did you get this seal from?" "It was dug out from the muddy ground, and the dirt is too thick." Shaking his head helplessly. Then he took out a toolbox from under the counter, took out a small razor, and carefully scraped off the black mud around the seal, revealing its original color. As a result, the man with glasses and his classmates all took a deep breath, only to find that the seal was pure yellow in color, smooth and flawless, with a fine and smooth stone texture that looked soft and smooth, just like a baby's skin. The younger brother of the glasses man was even more shocked and lost his voice. "I'll go. It's actually the Yellowstone of Bahrain. Bahrain's Yellowstone." Shiyu was stunned. Although he didn't understand stone materials, he still knew about the four wonders of China: Shoshan, Qingtian, Zhanghua, and Bahrain. Bahrain stone is produced in Blyq, NMGCF city, and can be divided into 5 categories based on its quality and color. Bahrain chicken blood stone, Bahrain yellow stone, Bahrain frozen stone, Bahrain colored stone, and Bahrain patterned stone. Among them, Bahrain's yellow stone is the most precious, and there is a saying in the world of gold and stone that 1 inch of yellow stone has 3 inches of gold, which shows its high value. I didn't expect that the material of this seal would be Balinfu Yellowstone, no wonder the Baoguang is so strong. Chen Youhao was not too happy, as the volume of this seal was too small. Otherwise, he would have developed it directly. However, even so, his seal cannot be obtained with only 4 or 5,000 yuan of materials. The bespectacled man obviously knew the value of Balan Fortune Yellowstone, and his face was a little ugly, but when he saw Chen Youhao's happy mouth, he could not help roast. "Don't be too happy too soon. Even if the carving of this seal is good, it is too small, and it will be worth thousands of dollars, far from the value of my plum bottle." Chen Youhao smiled lightly and said, "What's the rush? Keep looking, what if it's a celebrity's item?" A seal not only depends on its material, but also on whether it has humanistic value. If it is a celebrity item, its value can even be multiplied by several times or tens of times. The greater the fame of a character, the higher the value of the seal. The man with glasses sneered, "You've thought too much. There aren't so many celebrity items in the market. In my opinion, they are just the personal seals of ordinary literati, with little humanistic value." Chen Yu is as steady as an old dog. That's not necessarily true. Ordinary literati wouldn't be able to afford Fu Huangshi. The man with glasses sneered even more and said, "How about you being an outsider?" Although the lucky yellow stone was precious in ancient times, it was not a rare item. Don't buy it from too many people. The two of them had a verbal altercation, and neither of them was convinced. As he spoke, Tang Lao used a razor to clean the mud and dirt at the bottom of the seal, revealing the seal script. After carefully identifying it, he suddenly let out a light sigh and smiled, "Little guy, you caught it again. It's really a celebrity's thing." Chen Youhao immediately asked him, "Whose is it?" "Zhang Shiyu." "Zhang Shiyu? Who is he?" Chen Yu looked bewildered and helpless. He had no knowledge of history, let alone historical figures. But when he saw that the man with glasses next to him heard that the seal belonged to Zhang Shiyu, his face changed and he said, "I'll give you a plum vase." He then turned around and left the store. And his younger brothers also changed their faces, quickly following behind him. At this point, Chen Youhao didn't even know that Zhang Shiyu was an ancient celebrity. He quickly chased after him and said, "Hey, why are you going? Why, if you lose, you plan not to admit it. Don't be too pushy, call Dad quickly." The man with glasses had a very dark face. When he saw him chasing after him, he ran wildly and ran very fast. But his younger brothers saw something wrong and quickly stopped Chen Yu. Chen Youhao was so angry in his heart that he grabbed the student's collar and angrily said, "That's how your teacher educated you. You can't keep your word. If you lose, you can't admit it. What kind of person is that?" The student said with a bitter face, "You go talk to him, tell me what, it's not a bet I made with you." Another student said, "Please forgive me and forgive me. Our senior students have already given you a plum vase as a compensation gift. 10,000 yuan, what else do you want? Chen Youhao was furious and said, am I the one who needs that little money? The student said, okay, I'll pay for the plum vase. Get lost. Chen Yuyu turned around and walked back, not even calling me dad anymore. He wanted to take the money from the plum vase. How could there be such a good thing in this world? Several students looked down on him one after another, saying they didn't want him, but his body was honest and his face was full of shame. Chapter 8 Invitation from Li Xiao, What's going on? When Chen Youhao returned to the store, Tang Lao immediately asked. He had already felt that the atmosphere was a bit off. Chen Youhao explained the process of the matter once. Tang Laozi was speechless and finally choked out a sentence. It's so nice to be young. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Encountering Big and Little by Chance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Encountering Big and Little by Chance. However, as he looked at Chen Youhao, there was always a strange feeling. On this day alone, Chen Youhao had missed 3 times. Although it was not a big leak, it was definitely good. But judging from his reaction, it's clear that he's just an outsider. How did he do it? So he asked the doubts in his heart. Of course, Chen Youhao couldn't tell him the truth, and evading it was luck. He refused to tell the truth, and Tang couldn't do anything about it. After all, everyone has their own secrets, and they can understand without saying them. The two chatted for a while again, and Tang paid him for a plum bottle and pointed out a merchant that collects seals to Chen Yuyu. He said that selling to that merchant could sell for a little more money, but it's hard to say that if it's too much, it can still be sold for 50 or 60,000 yuan. Chen Youhao expressed gratitude and then left the store. In the next few days, whenever he had free time, Chen Youhao devoted himself wholeheartedly to the antique market, and almost every day he gained something. Although there were no major leaks, he also earned around 200,000 yuan in his account. Now, his total assets have reached 600,000. One step closer to his dream of buying a house in the city. Just Chen Youhao discovered a problem. In the entire retail market, the best items that appear are only folk kills and ancient porcelain, not even official kills have appeared, while in other categories, even if there are good ones, they are small items that cannot be sold at a high price. But some people confidently claim that someone in this market once found a big loophole and made several million in one go. Chen Youhao seriously doubts whether those people are bragging. With doubts in his heart, Chen Yuyu arrived at Xinbaoquan. When Tang Lao saw him coming again, he immediately greeted him with a smile and asked, "What good thing did you pick up again this time?" Chen Youhao couldn't help but say, "There's nothing so easy to pick up, nothing at all." He lay on the counter and asked Mr. Tang, I have a question. I heard some people in the retail market say that someone can make a few million by picking up a leak there once. When it comes to me, let alone a few million, I haven't even found a leak of several 100,000. Are you always saying that they are bragging? What? Want to find big loopholes in the retail market? Tang said speechlessly, what kind of dream are you having? How could real good things possibly end up there? They deliberately spread it this way to attract customers. Otherwise, how could so many gamblers go there to pick up treasures? It's just commercial hype. Upon hearing what he said, Chen Youhao suddenly understood that spending money to hype up food delivery platforms is nothing more than trying to gain traffic. I said I didn't come across anything good over there, but where do you always say you can pick up the big leak? In the store. What you're asking is really true. I don't even know what to say about you. Tang Lao gave him a big white eye and couldn't help but say, big leaks are not so easy to pick up. If they are really so easy to pick up, then don't even do business. You can go pick up leaks. I'm telling you, not everyone can find a big leak. It depends not only on luck, but also on solid professional knowledge. Let's talk about the big leak that appeared in the market 5 years ago. The package store surnamed Lu bought a Gukiln porcelain for 600,000 yuan. The people at that store always thought it was a Qin dynasty official imitation, but the package store surnamed Lu realized that the Gukiln porcelain was from the Song dynasty and sold it for over 8 million yuan. Think about it, if he doesn't have enough professional background, can he tell that the Gukiln porcelain is from the Song dynasty's local kiln? To put it simply, picking up a big leak requires luck and professional knowledge. It's not that I look down on you, but with your current level, even if there is a big leak in front of you, you can't catch it. Chen Yuyu nodded, believing this. Although his eyes had changed, he could only tell the authenticity of an antique. The historical period was not long, and the material was not good, but he couldn't tell more specifically. If two pieces of official kiln porcelain were placed in front of him, he really couldn't judge which one was more valuable. Tang Lao said again, if you really want to develop in this industry and read more professional books, your current professional level is too poor, and there are too many things you don't understand. Maybe one day you will be fooled. Chen Youhao nodded and said to himself that it seemed necessary to learn some professional knowledge about antiques. Just then, the phone rang. It was a call from the guide of Huiding Machine Depot. Chen Yuyu answered, "What's wrong, Miss Xiaoyu?" Xiaoyu said, "Mr. Chen, the things have arrived early. If you have time, you can come today." Chen Yu glanced at the time and saw that it was already past 4 p.m., with only over half an hour left until work time. There was no time left, so he said, "Today is not enough. I'll be busy later. I'll come over tomorrow morning." Xiaoyu said politely, "Okay, I'll notify the maintenance department and ask them to come early tomorrow for a while." "Okay, thank you." After hanging up the phone, Chen Youhao and Tang Lao chatted for a while before saying goodbye and leaving. The next day, after Chen became friendly, he had a simple breakfast and rode his motorcycle to Huiding motorcycle shop. Unexpectedly, Xiaoyu waited at the entrance of the car dealership. Chen Youhao was surprised and said, "Don't your guide start work at 9:30? It's only 9:00 now. Why are you here so early?" Xiaoyu smiled and said, "I'm afraid you won't find the entrance, so I came a little earlier." "Mr. Chen, this way, the front hall doesn't open until 9:20, and we need to enter through the back door." Chen Youhao followed behind her and sighed, "Your service attitude is really amazing. If you keep this attitude, you will definitely become the top salesperson in your car dealership in the future." "Then I'll borrow your auspicious words," Xiaoyu chuckled. The maintenance personnel were already waiting in the maintenance room. After Chen Youhao finished the locomotive, the two maintenance personnel immediately got busy. Xiaoyu was afraid that Chen Yuyu would be bored alone, so she decided to stay behind and poured Chen Yuyu a glass of water, accompanying him to speak. Not long after, a roar suddenly sounded. Two locomotives lined up and stopped at the entrance of the maintenance workshop. After two motorcycle riders parked their cars, they took off their helmets and revealed their true faces. However, there were two young men, one thin and wearing large shorts on the lower body, and the white sweatshirt on the upper body looked like a robe, very loose, with the hem covering it all. Another young man is a sturdy and burly man, wearing workwear pants on his lower body, a patchwork hip-hop top on his upper body, and a silver accessory around his neck, looking very fashionable. Xiaoyu saw the two of them and quickly welcomed them out. "Li Gu, Wang Gu, why did you come?" The burly man said, "My brake pads are not working and I need to replace them with new ones." "Why did the door open so early today?" "I thought I had to wait a little while when I came over." Xiaoyu explained, "A customer made an appointment for today's modification, so the maintenance personnel came a bit early." The burly man chuckled and said, "I'm talking." The skinny man joked, "Xiaoyu, you haven't seen me for a few days and you've become beautiful again. Come on, let me have my brother touch it and see if you've grown any more flesh." Disgusting. Xiaoyu seemed to be very familiar with these two people and smiled heartily. Then, the three of them walked into the repair workshop together, and the two men showed surprised expressions on their faces when they saw Chen Youhao. The skinny man looked at the Kawasaki 250 being modified, and then at Chen Youhao wearing a takeout uniform. He felt like he had seen a ghost and thought to himself, when did the delivery man become so wealthy that he was willing to buy a Kawasaki? The burly man was also stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Brother, which family's young master is he from? He has nothing to do but experience takeout. He's amazing." In his opinion, although delivery drivers have decent salaries, it is impossible and no one is willing to buy imported motorcycles. As the saying goes, reaching out and not hitting the smiling person, Chen Youhao saw his good attitude and politely said, "What kind of young master? I really don't dare to be a little delivery man." The skinny man chuckled and said, "Driving a motorcycle to deliver takeout. It's amazing. Li Xiao, why don't we go and experience it for 2 days? Driving a motorcycle to deliver takeout is definitely cool. With so many things to do, there's no time to experience delivering takeout." The burly man sat on the sofa next to Chen Youhao, took out a jade handle from his pocket, and asked Chen Youhao as he turned it around, "Do your delivery drivers make a lot of money? Why would you be willing to buy Kawasaki delivery? This car consumes a lot of fuel, which is much more expensive than using an electric motorcycle." Chen Yu laughed and said, "I bought this Kawasaki 250 by chance. I didn't plan to buy it, but I caught up and happened to have 2 coins in hand. So I decided to take it." As he spoke, he looked at the jade handle in the burly man's hand, but it was a pishi, with a white body, delicate like sheep fat, transparent and smooth like water. As he focused his attention, a thick deep yellow light suddenly emanated from the body of Pai Gui, resembling a small sun, with a very strong halo that was no worse than the seal he sold. Chen Youhao exclaimed in surprise, "I'll go. You're a jade pishio. Hetian sheep fat jade is still an old object. If it comes from a celebrity, it would be worth a lot of money. Do you understand antiques?" The burly man chuckled, his expression somewhat surprised. Chen Youhao humbly said, "I understand a little." The burly man quickly handed the jade pishio in his hand to Chen Yuyu and said, "Can you help me take a look? This jade pishio was given to my dad by someone else, claiming to be an old item from the Ming dynasty. My dad didn't like it and threw it to me, but I haven't found anyone to verify it, and I don't know if it's true." Chen Yuyu didn't know much about jade artifacts. He could only tell the truth and the length of time. However, seeing this person's expectant expression and unable to resist, he reluctantly looked at them and casually said, "The wrapping is so transparent that it doesn't take much time to plate. It must be an old object, at least from the Qing dynasty." The next moment, he saw the signature of Lu Zigang at the bottom of the jade pishio and exclaimed, "I'll go. It's actually a work by Lu Zigang. It's amazing. This jade pishio can be worth at least 200,000 yuan." The burly man looked confused and said, "Who is Lu Zigang?" Chen Yuyu saw that he did not experience any emotional changes due to the value of the jade pishio being over 200,000 yuan. He thought to himself that this guy might be a second generation and that his family was taking advantage of the money. He explained, "A well-known craftsman from the Ming dynasty who resided in Suzhou for a long time, and jade carving can be considered a masterpiece. In the Qing dynasty, the Suzhou jade industry worshipped him as the founder of their profession, and he was a remarkable figure. So this jade pishio is so big." The burly man laughed heartily and said, "My dad didn't like it. Hee, it's giving me a discount now." At this moment, the skinny man said, "Li Xiao, didn't you say you're going to replace your father at an antique charity auction recently? Since this brother is knowledgeable, why don't you let him help you? Take him over, at least you don't have to worry about buying a fake." The burly man was taken aback and said, "Yes, I didn't expect it." He immediately extended an invitation to Chen Youhao, "Brother, are you available tonight? If you have time, how about helping me with this favor? Don't worry, the reward will definitely come from you." Chen Youhao thought to himself that the antique charity auction may not be without good things, even if it cannot be bought, it would be good to go and see them. So he said, sure. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Encountering acquaintances on the road. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Encountering acquaintances on the road. The burly man was extremely pleased to see Chen Yi so polite. After patting Chen Youhao's shoulder, the burly man said, "Brother, my name is Li Tianhao." "What's your name?" "Hush." Chen Yu looked at Li Tianhao in surprise and said, "Li Tianhao. Isn't this the young master of Weiqing department store, one of the 4 young men in Weiqing?" As soon as the words were spoken, Chen Youhao quickly shut up. The title, "For Shaos of Weiqing," is not a good title. It is a term used by the people of Weiqing to refer to the 4 major playboys who have lost their ambition. These 4 people are Li Tianhao, the young master of Weiqing department store, Duan Tao, the young master of Weiqing hardware store, Chen Jibing, the young master of Weiqing Tongfu jewelry store, and Chen Hao, the young master of Chen Miji. I heard that the 4 of them have been living a luxurious life since childhood, but they are not ambitious and will always be on the way to play. His gaze fell on the locomotive that Li Tianhao had just arrived at. I saw that the locomotive was pitch black all over, with a very fierce front design. With bright and lively eyes, the guide veins below seemed like demons were opening their mouths. Oh! Undoubtedly, he is one of the 4 young masters of Weiqing. Chen Yuyu's eyes lit up. He was also a Kawasaki brand motorcycle. However, this Kawasaki brand motorcycle and my own motorcycle are like heaven and earth. My own motorcycle Kawasaki 250 is just over 40,000 yuan. And Li Tianhao's Kawasaki motorcycle should be the Kawasaki Versys 1000, with an average selling price of 150,000 to 160,000 yuan. It's something that only truly wealthy people play with. Li Tianhao was stunned when he saw Chen Yu looking at his car. He poked his shoulder and said, "Brother, you haven't told me your name yet. What is your contact information? If you really like the Kawasaki Versys 1000, you can accompany me to the antique charity auction tonight and I'll give you one. As for this one, I modified it myself and I'll play it for a few more days. My name is Chen Youhao, and my phone number is 186. As for the delivery, there's no need." Chen Youhao chuckled and shook his head, refusing. Although he does envy, he will not accept gifts from others. Next, my face became inferior and I was easily looked down upon. A tree lives a skin, and a person lives a face. For men, face is very important. As for the remuneration, I don't need it either. I just hope that when Li Shaoan needs takeout in the future, he can call me and take care of my business." Chen Yu chuckled. The skinny man and Li Tianhao looked at each other in astonishment, then burst into laughter. "Do you want takeout? They never eat that kind of thing." However, Li Tianhao nodded at Chen Youhao and said, "Chen Youhao, right. No problem. In the future, I will specifically greet the employees of my company and only order the one you delivered when ordering takeout." The 3 of them chatted for a while again. The topic of conversation revolves around motorcycles. Watching the skinny man and Li Tianhao chatting confidently, knowing all kinds of motorcycles, Chen Youhao listened enviously on the side. This is the romance of men. In the future, I will definitely do the same myself. Chen Yu is very confident. Because I have these mutated eyes. After repairing the motorcycle, Chen Youhao and Li Tianhao said goodbye and agreed to meet tonight at the entrance of the 5-star Lakeside Hotel in the center of Weiqing. The antique charity auction will be held tonight in the conference hall on the 3rd floor of this 5-star hotel. Chen Youhao finished delivering takeout at noon and didn't go to the antique market to pick up any leaks. Although the people of Weiqing have a bad reputation for Li Tianhao, they came into contact with him today and made Chen friendly understand that at least in terms of character, Li Tianhao is not very bad. I must be more serious when attending the antique charity auction with him today, and I cannot embarrass him. Having helped Li Tianhao this time, with his family's position in the business world of Weiqing, it may not be necessary in the future. Furthermore, most of the participants in the antique charity auction are local wealthy people. If you are fortunate enough to meet one or two people, it would be a great thing. With this thought in mind, Chen Youhao rode his motorcycle directly to the center of Wei City. He was preparing to buy himself some decent clothes to look more energetic. If there are clothes that can make men look more energetic and have been passed on to antique charity auctions, then it is naturally a suit. Chen Yuyu has been making takeout for several years and has a clear understanding of the layout of Weiqing. He has an impression of which store sells what things and how expensive they are. The brightest and most tasteful suit brand in Weiqing is undoubtedly the Caruso specialty store located in the city center. Caruso is an Italian brand. When it comes to suits, most people now believe that Italian products are a guarantee of quality. And Caruso is also a leader in Italian suit brands. Its price is also very high, usually starting at 10,000 yuan for a genuine Caruso suit. In the past, Chen Youhao dared not even approach such specialty stores. But today, standing at the entrance of Caruso's specialty store, Chen Youhao felt an indescribable sourness. Nowadays, with a bank account of over 600,000 yuan, there is still no pressure to buy such a suit. Just as he was about to push the door open and enter, a startled shout rang out. Chen Youhao. Chen Youhao turned his head in confusion and looked at the source of the sound. To his left, two young women walked shoulder to shoulder. Chen Yuyu's face was quite strange. He never expected to meet them in this place. The woman wearing a purple long dress on the left, who looks quite girlish next door, is his ex-girlfriend Chen Ling. In the first year after graduating from college, the two of them were still together. The following year, they broke up. The reason for breaking up is the girl on the right side of Chen Ling. Chen Ling's college roommate and best friend is Bai Fumei from Liaoning province, named Gao Shiqi. According to Chen Ling, Gao Shiqi's family runs a shipyard and earns tens of millions of dollars annually. Chen Yuyu and Chen Ling have been together for 3 years. Over the past 3 years, Gao Shiqi has advised Chen Ling to abandon Chen Youhao more than once. The reason is that Chen Youhao's family background is destined to have no future. And girls like Chen Ling, who have a neighbor-like temperament, are worth looking for better and wealthier families. Previously, Chen Ling would argue with Gao Shiqi, and even complain about Gao Shiqi when going out for dinner with Chen Youhao. However, in the end, complaints became less and less. When the two went out to eat, Chen Ling remained mostly silent. Occasionally speaking, with her mouth closed, we can see the love between Gao Shiqi and her childhood sweetheart, the luxury goods they bought, and where they went to play. In the end, the two parted ways. Chen Ling proposed to break up. On the day she came out of the cinema, Chen Ling asked, "Should we try breaking up?" Chen Yuyu was slightly stunned. In the end, he chose to agree. That night, Chen Ling moved out of the rented house and never appeared again. After half a year of pain, Chen Youhao was busy with work and forgot about this relationship. But I didn't expect to meet her here today. The two stopped in front of Chen Yuyu, and Chen Ling looked at him. At this time, Chen Youhao was still wearing the work clothes of an MT delivery worker. Chen Ling frowned slightly and asked, "How have you been lately?" End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Encountering a BMW man again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Encountering a BMW man again. Is there anything I need to do? Chen Yuyu stood calmly in place, his gaze not to mention indifference, let alone hatred. Some people only feel a sense of alienation, as if they are looking at strangers. After a moment of silence, Chen Ling forced a smile and said, "Even if we break up, there's no need to do this. In fact, we can still be friends." "I don't know you just to make friends," Chen Yuyu said calmly. "I don't lack friends either." Chen Ling's heart trembled slightly, her hands tightly clenched in her sleeves, took a deep breath, and whispered, "I'm sorry. Everyone has their own aspirations. There's no need to apologize or anything like that, Chen Youhao interrupted him directly, saying, when it comes to dating, it's okay to come and go. It's just a matter of dividing hands, and I'm not looking for life or death. You don't owe me anything, there's no need to apologize. Friendly, do you have to speak like this? Chen Ling stared at Chen Yuyu tightly, her lips biting slightly white. Chen Youhao smiled and said, if possible, I'm too lazy to say these words. Is there anything else? If you're okay, I have something to do, I have to leave first. Please make way. Chen Ling eventually gave way and allowed Chen Youhao to enter the specialty store. Upon seeing Chen Ling's appearance, Gao Shiqi couldn't help but say, hey, you're not good enough, are you? You still remember this guy for half a year. Chen Ling lowered her head, making it difficult to see her expression clearly. It's not that I'm talking about you, but it's really not suitable for you, you know. Gao Shiqi said, even if you and he really reach the stage of getting married, let's not say anything else. As long as your family demands a car, a house, and hundreds of thousands of dowries, can he give them? You're not a college student in the ivory tower anymore, so you have to consider your future. Chen Ling's gaze was confused. In fact, her breakup with Chen Youhao was not just due to Gao Shiqi's instigation. More likely, it is because after graduating from university, Chen Ling truly experienced the hardships of society. The innocence in my heart at the beginning is gradually being worn away in the workplace. However, half a year has passed now. Why can't we always forget the little moments of friendly interaction with Chen in the past? Let's go. Chen Youhao walked into the clothing store and tried on clothes with the accompaniment of the salesperson Mississippi. Gao Shiqi glanced at Chen Youhao in the clothing store and spread her hand, saying, it's really time to leave. Otherwise, Chen Youhao would save face and probably go all out to buy a piece of clothing. Every piece of clothing here is worth thousands, and 2 months' salary will have to be reimbursed there. Chen Ling let out a soft sigh. I haven't seen him for the past 6 months, but he is still as poor as ever, and he has become so proud. Chong Gaoshiki shook her head, and Chen Ling returned to reality, taking a deep breath and saying, all right, let's not talk about him anymore. Let's go buy clothes, and we also have to attend the antique charity party today. Gao Shiqi nodded and said, all right, let's go. Look, you listen to me so well. Xue Ming is so good. Although he is a bit older than you, he is still the CEO of the company, driving a BMW and owning a car and a house. Your mother knows how happy she is to have such a son. Law. He still took you to tonight's antique charity auction. Chen Ling put aside her unhappiness and smiled, yes, it's all Chi-Chi. That's it. Who made you my best friend? Gao Shiqi said proudly. Chen Youhao finished buying a suit, changed it directly, and then put the MT takeout work clothes in the travel box of the motorcycle. Thinking about what happened to Chen Ling just now in his mind, Chen Youhao smiled self-deprecatingly, shook his head, and threw everything out of his mind. Riding a motorcycle, I rushed to the taxi, washed my takeout work clothes in the washing machine, and was about to eat when my phone rang. Chen Youhao took out his phone from his pocket, which was an unfamiliar phone number. After pressing the answer button, Chen Youhao said, hello, this is MT Takeout. A dumbfounded voice came from across the phone and said, brother, you're really a food delivery person. A food delivery person actually drives a Kawasaki 250 and is proficient in antiques. This is really a case of using firecrackers to beat sparrows. A waste of talent. This sound. This morning, I saw Li Tianhao, one of the 4th youngest in Weicheng, at the Huiding machine dealership. Chen Yu laughed and said, I didn't lie to you. As I said from the beginning, I'm a food delivery person. There's nothing I can do, people are poor and have short aspirations. I can only make a living by taking out food. Alright, don't complain to me. Brother, how about you come under my command? I'll open a special antique shop for you and ask you to be the manager. Li Tianhao said. Chen Youhao chuckled. A fool went to your house to become a manager. I'm just being humble in words, you're taking it seriously. I'm just picking up leaks at the antique market now, isn't it better than being a manager and earning some dead wages? Agree or disagree? Give me a hearty word. Li Tianhao heard laughter and urged. Chen Youhao then restrained his laughter and said, forget it, I still like to be a delivery man. It's so much better to be free and easy. I'll go and leave the antique store manager with a monthly salary of tens of thousands of yuan. I fell in love with being a delivery man. Who is this person? Alright, I'm not joking with you anymore. I'll care if you're a special hobby or something. Now come out quickly, I'll treat you to dinner at the lakeside restaurant, Li Tianhao scolded with a smile. Chen Youhao agreed, okay, I'll go over now. After washing the takeout work clothes and hanging them on the clothes rack, Chen Youhao rode a motorcycle and set off. Arriving at the Huban Hotel, Chen Youhao had just parked his motorcycle in an empty space. Just as he was about to lock, he heard a piercing horn sound from behind, which startled Chen Youhao. Then, a male voice said, stop here. I have something else to do, I need to use this parking space. Chen Yuyu frowned, what is this to say? Everyone needs to use a parking space. I just stopped here, but if you want to use it, I have to make way out. And even if there is really an urgent matter to use, it's not your attitude to ask for help, is it? The horn just now almost scared him out of his wits. Chen Yuyu turned his head in displeasure, and the next moment, his face suddenly darkened. Surprisingly, it's the BMW man I met before. The BMW man clearly did not expect that the person who locked the motorcycle would be Chen Youhao. At this moment, he suddenly arrogantly said, so it's you. Hurry up and move away, I've taken this position. Chen Youhao's face turned cold. Unexpectedly, this guy became furious when he saw Chen Youhao ignoring others and said, if you don't let me go, I'll just drive over. Don't regret it then. After he finished speaking, he saw that Chen Youhao was already motionless and was about to drive and crash over. Is this the late stage of road rage? Chen Yuyu flew into a rage. Taking the lock off the locomotive, Chen Youhao became angry and said sternly, you can give it a try. The BMW man sneered at Chen Youhao and stepped on the gas pedal with a fierce expression, saying, what are you pretending to be in front of me? If you have the ability, don't hide. I really bumped into him today. Speaking, he couldn't help but rush towards Chen Youhao. Chen Youhao saw the car really coming over and ran away quickly. The BMW car crashed straight into his motorcycle, flying it off and scattering it all over the ground. End of this chapter.